it's Donna from Simple Online Solutions, and I have with me today Stacey Prieur, who is a social media manager from Canada living in the lovely Gold Coast. So, Stacey, welcome to the call today. How are you?
Good, good. How are you, Donna?
I'm wonderful, thank you. Now, Stacey, I was wondering if you could share with us a little bit about your journey, because you have got one incredibly interesting story.
Yes, it is interesting, that's for sure. Basically, my job as social media manager literally fell into my lap. I had been in advertising for about 5 to 6 years doing basically brand management, and I was starting to get into a little bit of the online stuff, but mostly media marketing, that kind of dull, soul-sucking things. And I was 25, and I looked around in the cubicle. And I was just like, really, is this it? And so I quit my cushy job in advertising to be a stand-up comedian because I felt that that was more fulfilling at the time. Probably not the best financial career to choose, but definitely fulfilling, and it was like stage therapy for me. While I was doing stand-up comedy, I actually started promoting myself online with MySpace and then Facebook, and then I ended up getting groupies, which they started calling themselves comedy bunnies. So yeah, it was pretty great. And I think sometimes I only got booked because I had my comedy bunnies with me. I was an amateur. Like, I was funny sometimes, sometimes not. Just depended on the day. I was working my stuff out. But anyways, from that, I also got asked to be on a web show called 20somethingtv.com in 2007. And then I quickly became one of the favorite characters. The show, I believe they got over 2 million views in 2 years, I think it was. And then after that, we ended up calling it quits, and we wanted to do a spin-off of myself and the host called Jill and Stacey Do the Roo, where we traveled to Australia. And basically, with that show, I had the opportunity to build everything from the ground up. Literally, Jill and I, we built the site, we did the theme song, the logo, we came up with all the ideas, we researched everything, we contacted everybody, we filmed everything, we edited everything, we did blogs, we did videos, and we did photography. So it was a full functioning multimedia site, which still exists. If anyone wants to check it out, it's jillandstaceydoTheRoo.com, and it's all spelt out. We filmed over 75 different episodes, and we literally basically did everything ourselves social media-wise. We contacted everybody, we promoted everyone online, we backlinked everything, we used a lot of SEO and keywording techniques. So we didn't really know that we were doing social media management. We didn't know that we were doing backlinking and cross promotions and stuff. It just sort of happened organically, and we ended up saving ourselves over $20,000 in travel expenses just through doing social media and online advertising. The only thing that sucked was at the time we did a lot of contra deals. So what happened we would get a good or service for free, and then we would blog about them, take photos, and promote them online via Facebook, via Twitter, and all of our other social media platforms. So after 2 months of traveling, we settled in the Gold Coast, because why would you not want to? It's absolutely gorgeous here. Except for rainy season, then it tends to be more of the Bloom Coast. But, but yeah, we ended up getting jobs as bartenders and waitresses, as most actors do. And the owner happened to notice our site and was very keen on getting into social media and asked if we could essentially do what we did for Jill and Stacey Do. As it stands today, if you go to 123bar.com.au, you will see video, you see blogs, and you will see photography. And we constantly update on Twitter and Facebook and via, I believe there's 20 other social media platforms. So once that kind of started up and going, I started getting contacted by other businesses and other people basically looking for the same sort of advertising support or learning a strategy, because everyone knew how to set up a profile, but no one knew what to do with it. So that's sort of where I am right now, being a social media coach and manager.
Stacey, do you think that advertising, being in an advertising background, it's helped you get started with social media?
I think I think being in an advertising background, as much as I said I would never do it again, has definitely helped me. It helps you with business strategies and business solutions and creating online branding identities within social media, and that's really key when you're establishing yourself within the first 3 months of networking. I think brand identity is so key.
So is that brand identity as you for the social media manager, or are you talking more brand identity for the people that you're managing?
Yes, definitely. When I discuss brand identity, I discuss the client. The client has to think of them. The client has to think of themselves as a voice and as a character. So if I am that brand, what does that brand think and breathe and say? Because you want it to be believable. You want it to be relatable. And bottom line, if people like you, they'll buy into what you're offering.
Okay, so do you think that somebody's really keen to become a social media manager? What would you say would be the key tools that they needed to get started in this industry?
If someone wanted to be a social media manager, my best advice to anybody would be start reading up on social media news. There's heaps of information out there. Some of my favorites are Social Media Today, Mashable, Chris Voss, Chris Brogan, Scott Stratton. These guys, they're pretty, not, I wouldn't say avant-garde, but they're pretty on top of everything of what's going on because there's a lot of stuff out there that's just regurgitated. And I'm to the point where I'm getting frustrated because how am I supposed to learn or excel if there's nothing really out there to teach you? So if you are keen on being a social media manager, first do your research. Second, learn the programs. I can't stress that enough. Learn the programs, learn the benefits and the limitations of all of them because some clients might benefit from Twitter, some might not. Most clients, I would say, would benefit from Facebook, but again, even with Foursquare and LinkedIn, like those ones, you can give or take. So you really have to know the product that you're offering. And you need to know how to communicate effectively with different types of people, and you just need to know how to make a plan. That's about it.
Okay, great. So can you tell me, you heavily work with Facebook and Twitter. Which is your preference for tool, or would you like to kind of share your thoughts on each one of those programs?
Sure, no problem. The easiest way I like to describe Twitter and Facebook, basically everybody sort of gets Facebook now. I remember back in the MySpace days where everyone was like, whoa, Facebook, what's this? But now everybody's on board Facebook, like even my grandparents are. And no one knows about Twitter. But Twitter is such a hidden gem for geographically desirable clients. Like if you have real estate, if you have restaurants, if you have something where you need to bring on like traffic in that's local, Twitter's great for targeting those demographics. The easiest way I can explain it is Twitter's like dating and Facebook's like the relationship. Twitter, you have a bunch of status updates and you go in and you network and you find friends and you just chat with them all day long. Whereas Facebook, you share your life, you share your experiences, you share videos and photos, and it's a lot more personal. So it really depends on what type of person you are. I like both. Depends, I guess, on how social I feel. If I feel like being a social butterfly, then I'm on Twitter. If I don't, then you'll find me on Facebook.
Stacey, what would you suggest to help somebody in terms of when your clients come along? What do you do to help them increase their fan base?
The first thing I do when I get a client is I ask them what their goals are, what their expectations are, and what their realistic expectations are. And then I help design a work-back schedule to fit that need. Or I'm just very brutally honest with them and tell them that, no, you're not going to get 1,000 friends in a week. You could on Twitter, but they're not going to be quality friends. They will be quantity friends and spammers. So what I would say to most people, especially if you're using Facebook for business, try not to add more than 10 people a day because you will get flagged. A lot of people use business pages or fan pages for Facebook, but now this might not be the best way of saying this, but I prefer to have a profile page for the business as well as a business page, just because there's more things that you can do with a profile page than you can do with a business page. So what I would do if I were to give advice to someone is I would set up a profile page and have them add 10 people a day. I would have them add 10 people that fits their demographic and pick quality people, not someone who looks hot in a bathing suit or someone who's got their muscle mag pictures up there. You want to pick quality people who are potential clients and then communicate with them. And then once that's established on your profile page, then invite them to like your fan page. So if anything happens to your profile page, you have your fan page's backup. And your fan page will also link to your Twitter page, whereas your profile page won't, if that makes sense.
That does make exact sense. And so when you go through that, you know, I do, my only thing there is I know it is against the terms of service with Facebook to set it up under your business name in terms of your personal profile. But you feel that's a better strategy? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, I know it's not good, but I'm also saying, don't you become the business eventually? So if I were to set up a profile page, wouldn't I maybe put my first name as the first name and maybe the last name is the business name? Because really, when you're trying to promote a business, you become the business. You are the business. So you become the profile. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I was going to say, that's very sneaky, Stacey. Very sneaky.
I'm just saying. I don't know what I'm talking about, but if I were knowing what I was talking about, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Once they've got their profile set up and their business page set up, what sort of techniques would you say a social media manager would then do in terms of helping build that page? Like, do you add to it daily, or do you add good content into it, or how as a social media manager, do you go about helping your client then adding content and building that page?
Well, to keep interest, I would update the status every day. In terms of content management, it really, really depends on the type of business. I would definitely go daily. But in terms of direct strategy, that's when you'll have to come consult me personally. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You're being very funny there today, Stacey. Now, something you mentioned when we first I asked you to introduce yourself, and you were talking about being on the road. So you did all these strategies purely by just using your laptop, and you and your friend were traveling. Were you in a combi van?
We were in a wicked camper, or a death wagon as we like to call it. Sorry, wicked campers. But yeah, we did everything on the road. We did it through Wi-Fi. We both have Macs, and we did all the editing on the iSoftware.
Right. And what sort of camera did you use in terms of taking videos?
Just a basic one. Our first road trip, we had a Sony handheld camcorder. I believe it runs around $500. Some of the limitations that we had with that was lighting and sound, but there's all sorts of techniques you can suss out on YouTube to get around that. And we also didn't have a digital camera, so we used our iPhones to take most of the pictures from the trip from Sydney to Cairns, which it actually worked out really well because we got asked to be a guest photographer for Australia Geographic online. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Not bad for an iPhone.
I was going to say, that is very exciting when you come to think about it. You've come to Australia, you're on a holiday, but you've used your talents, and you've gone along, and then you've been employed along the way to take photos, do interviews, do video, social media. I mean, I just think that that is a huge success story in itself, let alone the fact that you're actually earning a living from it on the way.
Yeah, now it's a little bit more beneficial. At the time, it was, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it was very stressful, but we definitely, I couldn't have done it without Jill, and most of it was her. She knew a lot of the back-end stuff, and we used to call it Sparkle and Shine. She would set up the framework, and I would sort of decorate it with my wordy fluff and my blogs and my photography. So we became the perfect partners. For someone to do that by themselves, it's pretty stressful. I don't regret it one bit, but it wasn't always rainbows and kittens along the way.
No, I understand that. So you're going back home again soon, and for the companies that you're currently working for now, and doing their social media. Will you still be doing that when you return back to Canada?
We haven't really, we've discussed it. For some of the companies, yes, I will still be assisting them, but I think it'll be more on a coaching level. At this point, what I've done is I've tried to teach them how to use it themselves. So what I'll be doing is giving them homework lists and things that they need to do to achieve the goals that I have along the way. So still coaching, still there to offer a voice, but I won't be doing the groundwork for them.
So before we go, is there one tip that you'd like to share with the listeners to either A, help them get started in social media, B, they're already in it, but to help them go to the next level?
Yeah, no problem. Basically what I would say is network. Go to a couple of these seminars. If you find that you know already more than what they're saying, talk to the people who are hosting them and see if you can host your own. I can't stress how beneficial it'll be for you because then you're not exerting yourself as an expert, but you're showing that you have the knowledge and the motivation, and people who are keen on this industry, or maybe they're interested in it but they don't want to do the work themselves, they will suss you out. So essentially, if you hold your own seminar, the clients will come to you. You don't have to go to them. So just something to think about.
So basically put yourself out there, and that way then people can see you and align with you.
Well, exactly. You could be a social butterfly online, but you need to have your sparkle and shine in person as well.
I like that one, sparkle and shine. Excellent. So, Stacey, if people wanted to get in contact with you to do some coaching, are you currently offering that? And if so, where can they contact you?
Currently, I am available for coaching. Space is very limited at the moment. If they'd like to contact me, they can contact me via Gmail at here'sstaceyprieur@gmail.com, and I will definitely send you the link.
Well, Stacey, I thank you very much for your time today. It's been wonderful talking to you, and you've had a smile on my face for the last 15 minutes listening to this conversation.
That's what matters, Donna. At the end of the day, keeping it social, keeping a smile on your face. My job is done.
Well, thanks very much, Stacey. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.